We have a democracy. One person, one vote. A government of the people, by the people, for the people, and the corporations.
The Supreme Court delivered a landmark decision on campaign finance today. It has the potential to shake up the national political scene, starting with this fall's midterm elections.
The 5-4 opinion said that large infusions of corporate dollars do not give rise to corruption or the appearance of corruption.
This is a landmark case. First of all, it goes to the heart of a major piece of legislation. Big deal. Secondly, arguably it overturns an important stream of Supreme Court cases. Big deal. But most important, it fundamentally shifts the power equation in American politics.
I've worked in corporate America for years. I think they're just inanimate objects. They don't have any living or breathing rights as I do.
A corporation is a completely artificial entity. It's created by the state, it's shaped by the state, it's licensed by the state, it's chartered by the state, and it has only those rights and those duties that are conferred upon it in the corporate charter that is released by the state legislatures.
We saw some of the worst impacts of the Citizens United decision in the 2010 election, where all across this country, every congressional district, every state, corporations were spending deep into their treasuries, reaching into what I say are their pocketbooks to spend on elections and to influence those elections.
The problem with the decision is not that it discounts the insidious influence of corporations. The problem is that it just misdefines what a corporation is. A corporation is not a political citizen. It doesn't have the constitutional rights that the people have.
Too many Americans have already begun to lose faith. And it is only 1 year, one election after this ruling.
I don't think you need corporations directly funding campaigns.
It's not rocket science that a majority of Americans actually oppose, a huge majority of Americans actually oppose the Citizens United decision.
Fortunately, corporations and the Supreme Court do not have the last word. We the people do. Together, we can make history.
A constitutional amendment is probably the only thing that will really be able to nullify the Supreme Court's declaration that corporations have political rights here.
The Constitution has been amended 27 times, including the Bill of Rights. Whenever the American people have realized that our democracy is threatened and voting and elections are no longer fair, we have amended the Constitution. Fortunately, there's already outrage and a push for change on Capitol Hill. Amendments have been introduced in the U.S. House by Representative Donna Edwards and in the U.S. Senate by Senators Max Baucus and Michael Bennet. And now, with your help, we're going to begin work on a new strategy, one that's both unusual and unusually powerful. Here it is. By focusing on state legislatures rather than Washington, we can begin to make a real difference right now.
If the states start calling on Congress to debate a constitutional amendment, over time, I think that this is a very viable scenario.
There are now state-level resolutions calling for such a U.S. constitutional amendment in 7 states: Massachusetts, California, Hawaii, Idaho, New Jersey, South Dakota, and Washington State. Please contact your state legislators now and urge them to introduce or co-sponsor a resolution calling for a U.S. constitutional amendment to make it clear that free speech and other constitutional rights are for people, not corporations.